Okay, so we continue reading Bhagavad Gita as it is. Introduction, page 14. And during our last class, we learned about the four mistakes that any living entity has. And so the first one, it's actually not mistakes, imperfections. Okay, so the first one is that we're sure to commit mistakes. Okay, because all of us have different experiences and we're conditioned by those experiences. Therefore, we see the things as we feel and as we think and not as they are. So, therefore, we're sure to commit mistakes. And that's why it is said no one is perfect, right? We need to clarify things when we communicate with others. Second imperfection is invariably illusion. So if we commit mistakes, it means that we do not see things again as they are. Therefore, we become illusioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably you had some examples where you would probably see how one person means something and then the other person interprets it as something else, right? What would be the example?
Like an example could be like a miscommunication with your like friend, like she thought one thing and you thought another thing. So you guys have a different perception of what
Exactly.
the situation was.
Yeah. So, for example, one person is passing by without saying hello,
Mhm.
and another person is thinking, oh, he's upset with me.
Yeah.
And it's actually he was thinking of something else and he was upset with something else, right? And it didn't relate to the other person. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
therefore, yeah, we need, again, it comes to the clarity, clarification, and putting effort into this. And the third one has the tendency to cheat others. How do you think that cheating is happening?
Like taking advantage of others for like their own benefit.
Mm-hmm. And why do we call it cheating? Like for our benefit, it's a good thing, right?
Mhm. Um,
Any ideas?
I well, like you're like it's to benefit yourself, but it's like kind of like selfish. Like it's not like always like it's not like in the purest intentions.
Yeah. So what would make our intention pure then in that case? What would be the opposite to cheating? So how will we know that we're not cheating others? What could be the criteria probably?
Um, to not like not cheating others, we would not like I don't know, you like there wouldn't be so many indifferences in the world. Like maybe like when you're bettering yourself, someone else is not like not suffering, but like losing out because you're benefiting. Like it would be kind of like an equal level for everyone.
Yeah, so it's a good point. Actually, it will be a win-win situation, right? It's a win-win situation. No one is suffering. And I liked your point where you said that taking advantage, meaning that you are probably is happy, but the other person is suffering, right? Which is, and on the deeper level, cheating comes from again committing mistakes because we may
Yeah.
think that this is good for the person. We may think, right, that by doing something, the person will benefit from it, and we may give the wrong information to the person, even
Mhm.
unconsciously, just believing that this is good, right? And a lot of theories in the science, for example, why they get canceled, because something else is found which basically contradicts with the previous research, right? So then the previous result becomes invalid, and then something else becomes valid. So that's how it is. It goes back to committing mistakes and being illusioned, and that's why actually the tendency to cheat comes from there. Okay, and even if we think, as you said, taking advantage of someone, right? It's also an illusion because if someone is losing because of our victory, is it a true victory for us? You know what I mean? Yeah. So then the fourth one is limited by imperfect senses. Um, let's clarify this. What kind of senses do we have?
Like
So we
our
have the main, yes. What are the senses that we have? The main senses: eyes, right? Ears,
yeah,
tongue, Yes. What else? Taste. No,
Touch.
our tongue. Yes. Touch. Yeah. And smell. So we have those senses, but why are they imperfect? Why are they called imperfect? Your idea.
Because they're only like like subjective to each individual.
They're very
And
subjective, yes,
Mhm.
to individual experience. Yeah.
And then your example about like passing by and then interpreting differently, that's like your own senses like reacting differently based on your own like individual experiences.
Exactly. And on the other side, just imagine how far can we see,
Mhm.
distance wise? How far can we see? We can't see so much far, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a few meters, like, or maybe it depends, right? Some people farther, some people like, but again, our senses are not perfect. We cannot see that far. We cannot see through the walls, for
Yeah.
example, right?
Mhm.
Uh, or we cannot smell a lot of things. And speaking
Yeah.
about the spiritual world, God is everywhere, right?
Mhm.
And the best, like the greatest yogis, they're able to see Paramatma in their heart,
Mhm.
God's presence in their heart, right? But they develop it through the sense purification because our senses are imperfect. We need to purify them to see God. He is here, He is available, but we don't see Him.
Yeah.
Basically, our vision is compared to the windows. Imagine we're sitting in the body with the nine gates, as it is said in Bhagavad Gita. Later on, we'll be reading it, right? And those nine gates are our, like how to say, the holes through which we get the information about the external world. Okay, and these are the nostrils and the eyes and ears and mouth. Yeah, so these are the things, and through those senses, we are trying to learn about the whole universe, about the nature, about other creatures, but our senses are limited. And that's why they're called imperfect, because we cannot even understand the other living being, right? We have a hard time understanding ourselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, therefore, once we purify our senses,
Mhm.
okay, once we basically infuse them with the spiritual energy, they start seeing and feeling on a different level. Okay. So this is what we've learned
Mhm.
last time. So with these four imperfections, one cannot deliver perfect information of all pervading knowledge. So for example, let's say Dhruva Maharaj, there is a great story. He
Mhm.
was a small boy and he was meditating in the forest because he was so much offended by his father
Mhm.
behavior, actually, how his father was treating him. So he decided to go to the forest. He was a 5-year-old boy, and he met Narada Muni there, who told him, who asked actually him, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "Well, I would like to see God because my stepmother said that if I see God, He will fulfill my wishes." So therefore, and then Narada Muni said, "Oh, okay, but why don't you go home?" So he was so insisting, and he decided, he said, "No, no, no," and he was staying there for several months, breathing in a day, one day not breathing, the other day breathing, not eating, not sleeping, and etc. So he purified his senses so much that finally God came to him and he saw the Lord. And once he saw the Lord, he was so happy that he didn't want anything at all because he was so much satisfied. So the perfect senses give absolutely perfect satisfaction, but they can become perfect only through the purification and how to say, God, Krishna says, I will give you, when he speaks to Arjuna, he says, I will give you the
Yeah.
senses so that you can, I'll give you the eyes so that you can see me. Okay. So yeah, it comes with the mercy of the Lord as well. Okay. So let's continue here. Um, I will read first paragraph and then we're gonna take turns. Okay.
Okay.
And do you have any questions about those four imperfections? No? It's all clear. Okay. Vedic knowledge is not imparted by such defective living entities. It is not imparted into the heart of Brahma, the first created living being. And Brahma, in his turn, disseminated this knowledge to his sons and disciples as originally received it from the Lord. So, in other words, the perfect knowledge, which is Vedic knowledge, cannot be given by living entities who have this for imperfections.
Mhm.
Why do you think this knowledge cannot be conveyed by them? What would be an obstacle for them to deliver it as it is?
They might like alter it or like change it based on their interpretation.
Exactly. Yeah, they're gonna interpret it in a different way, right? Yes. Okay. So Brahma received it, as you can see, from the Lord himself, and then he passed it down to his sons and disciples. Okay. The Lord is Purnam, means all perfect, and there is no possibility of his becoming subject to the laws of material nature. So he created, right? The material energy is his external energy. He is the owner of the laws that govern that material energy. Therefore, he is not subject to its influence. He's not subjected to those influences. One should therefore be intelligent enough to know that the Lord is the only proprietor of everything in the universe. So he's all perfect, okay? And he's the only proprietor, meaning that, again, we're living in his world, like a whole big single whole, right? Okay, of everything in the universe. And he is the original creator, the creator of Brahma. In the 11th chapter, the Lord is addressed as Prapitamaha because Brahma is addressed as Pitamaha, the grandfather, and he is the creator of the grandfather. Can you imagine? The Lord is the creator of the grandfather. Interesting, right? So no one should claim to be the proprietor of everything. One should accept only things set aside for him by the Lord as his quota for his maintenance. So whatever basically we receive upon like our birth, our parents, our sisters, brothers, the money that we have, the opportunities, talents, this is our quota for this life, for our maintenance. What happens if we want more than that? See, it is said here, no one should claim to be the proprietor of anything. One should accept only things set aside for him by the Lord as his quota for his maintenance. So what happens if we go out of this balance? So we got something for our maintenance, and then we want more, we're dissatisfied.
Mhm. We would just get greedy, like we'd get greedy and selfish, and we'd never be satisfied with anything.
Yeah, so that's how we actually become illusioned. Okay,
Hmm.
because we start thinking, oh, I don't have enough and I'm not enough. And
Yeah.
since we are here under the law of nature, both spiritual and material, right? We cannot actually claim that we should have more than we have. Okay,
Hmm.
but we'll be given what we should be given. That's it. And by the mercy of the Lord, of course, the devotees they get more than needed.
Yeah.
Again, why? Because they use it in service. They don't make it their own. They don't say it's mine.
Yeah.
Oh, they're getting more money, another million of dollars. Ah,
Mhm.
I'll use it for the service of the Lord. Okay, and therefore they never like it's like a banker. There's so many money can go through him, and he
Yeah.
will never claim his proprietorship on those money. Therefore, he stays indifferent no matter how much money he sees. He is
Yeah.
indifferent.
Hmm.
Okay, he's not attached. All right. So next paragraph, if we can start with Alicia.
There are many examples given of how we are to utilize those things which are set aside for us by the Lord. This is also explained in Bhagavad Gita. In the beginning, Arjuna decided that he should not fight in the battle of Kurukshetra. This was his own decision. Arjuna told the Lord that it was not possible for him to enjoy the kingdom after killing his own kinsmen. This decision was based on the body because he was thinking that the body was himself and that his bodily relations or expansions were his brothers, nephews, brother-in-law, grandfathers, and so on. Therefore, he
So
wanted to,
yeah,
sorry.
let's elaborate on this. So how can we describe, how can we distinguish between bodily, right, desires, thinking, I would say, and
Mhm.
spiritual? How would we know that our decisions, what is the basis for our decisions? So here Arjuna is he doesn't want to fight, right? Because he's thinking that he won't be enjoying the kingdom after killing his relatives.
Mm-hmm.
And this is called here the bodily conception.
Mm-hmm.
So, how would we identify what is bodily and what is not?
I think maybe like they think like they're like the human body, but they're actually like the soul. So then like they like identify like
Mhm.
their being with the body.
Yes. And then on the other side, right, Krishna is saying that killing anyone is not allowed. Even
Yeah.
if we know, if we see that this is a soul which is imperishable and eternal, we're still
Yeah.
not allowed to kill,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, how can we understand? Like, how would you explain here why this behavior, this particular behavior is um, called material and not spiritual? That is based on the body, and that he's thinking that he is himself this body
Mm-hmm.
when he doesn't want to fight. What does the body want? Everybody's body. What is the body's biggest desire? Do we want to go to gym to exercise
Um,
so much? Yes or no?
yes, I would
Yes?
say, I would say
Huh?
yes.
Oh, you would say yes. You created that habit. That's good. Okay, let's go back in time, right? Not about you, but just in general. Before
Yeah.
we go to the gym and before we create that habit, I was so much eager to go and
No.
do so much exercises, running, stretching. No, right? And then why? What does the body want?
Just wants to enjoy and
Joy, yeah, comfort,
Mhm.
comfort. Just leave me alone. I want some comfort. I want
Yeah.
some, pleasure, right? And
Mhm.
therefore, when we think about our own comfort, then is it spiritual? Does it
No.
relate to the service to the Lord? Is it always
No.
comfortable to serve?
No.
No. Yes. Like, is it always comfortable to perform our duties?
No.
No, not at all. Yes. So, Arjuna, as it is said here, right, he doesn't want to fight because he's thinking he won't enjoy the kingdom. He won't enjoy the king. He's not thinking, right,
Mhm.
about his duty, that it's actually his duty to protect from the
Yeah.
evil,
Mhm.
to maintain the law. No matter who is in front of you, you have to maintain the law.
Yeah.
There were a lot of offenses were committed, and there were a lot of trials to kill other people.
Mhm.
Like Bhima was almost killed, and Draupadi was basically offended publicly. So
Mhm.
therefore, he has his duty, but he is not enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this decision is based on the body because he's not looking above his comfort. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's continue.
The Bhagavad Gita was spoken by the Lord just to change this view. And at the end, Arjuna decides to fight under the directions of the Lord when he says, Karisai Banchanam Tava. I shall act according to your word.
Yes, exactly. And we are going back to this four imperfections, right? Since our uh, vision can be limited, right? We do not see things as they are, so we need to have some more knowledge. We need to um, what is it called? Associate with people who have more knowledge in order to learn, and that's how our consciousness becomes broader and we start understanding things better. Okay. Okay, Nadia, let's continue.
In this world, men are not meant for quarreling like cats and dogs. Men must be intelligent to realize the importance of human life and refuse to act like ordinary animals. A human being should realize the aim of his life, and this direction is given in all Vedic literatures, and the essence is given in Bhagavad Gita. Vedic literature is meant for human beings, not for animals. Animals can kill other living animals in there's no question of sin on their part. But if a man kills an animal for satisfaction of his uncontrolled taste, he must be responsible for breaking the laws of nature.
Yeah, so let's elaborate on this as well. So animals, they have instincts.
Mhm.
So they are naturally designed in a way of eating certain species of life, right? And therefore they are not, it's their nature. They are not, basically, they are not punished for
Mhm.
eating each other, okay? And they are not punished for not being sensitive, not being empathetic when someone is, struggling because of them. While humans, we are given high consciousness.
Mhm.
And because humans are so much like, we're so much developed, right? We have the ability to realize God
Mhm.
by our practice. While
Yeah.
animals, they don't have this opportunity. They cannot chant Hare Krishna. They cannot go back to Godhead. They
Yeah.
don't have that choice. The only choice that they have is to follow their instincts, and that's it. We as humans, we have a choice, and we have a freedom actually to choose that animals don't have, right?
Mhm.
So therefore, when it comes to humans, if we behave in the same way, right, just that for the satisfaction of the body without thinking, acting in a way that can cause pain of other living entities, in that
Mhm.
case, we become responsible for breaking the laws of nature. Okay, because the main responsibility is on those who have bigger knowledge and freedom of choice. All right, let's continue.
In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly explained that there are three kinds of activities according to the different modes of nature. The activities of goodness, of passion, and of ignorance. Similarly, there are three kinds of eat,
Eatables.
eatables, also eatables in goodness, passion, and ignorance.
Okay, and let's
All
elaborate on this. So again, there are three energies, right, in the material world. They're called goodness, passion, and ignorance. Everything here in the material world consists
Mhm.
of those energies. So there are foods which are in goodness, passion, and ignorance. There are actions, there are words, there are thoughts, desires, works, clothes,
Mhm.
movies, music. Everything that we see can be divided into these three categories. Okay, so when we, for example, associate, when we have a relationship with things related to the mode of goodness,
Mhm.
and it can be activities, movies, music, food, people. How do you think we're going to feel?
For goodness,
Yeah. Do you remember the feelings in goodness? What are they?
like happy, like maybe satisfied, um, content.
Content. Yes. How will it affect our health if we associate with things and people in the
Mhm.
mode of goodness?
Um, we feel better, like be more healthy. Um,
Yeah. So actually, health itself is goodness.
mhm.
Once we go into passion, what happens? We become exhausted. So there is no health and passion. Health
Mhm.
exists only in goodness. Okay, if we
Okay.
are not healthy, it means that we either in passion or ignorance.
Okay.
Heart diseases like cancer, and other terminal diseases, this is complete ignorance.
Okay.
Okay, the beginning of a disease is also ignorance and passion.
Mm.
So passion leads to diseases, and then while the diseases grows, right, becomes worse and worse,
Mhm.
it means that the person is progressing in the mode of ignorance. When a person works a lot, wants a lot,
Mhm.
it means that the person is progressing in the mode of passion. And then, how would you distinguish whether the person is in the mode of goodness or passion? What would be the description? Like in terms of activities, in terms of food, in terms of clothes.
I would feel like passion is more like goal oriented, so that they're always like chasing like after something.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas goodness, like you might feel more like relaxed and like stable or like calm.
Mm-hmm. Both of them have goals.
Mhm.
Okay, but passion, like the goals in the mode of passion, they are more creating attachments, while the
Okay.
goals in goodness, they're creating freedom.
Mhm.
All of them have goals. Like, for example, for Krishna conscious people, the goal is to learn who we are, right, to understand ourselves, self-realization is one of the most difficult sciences which are not fully open in the world. Okay, in terms of psychology and the body and relationships, there is no complete knowledge, absolute knowledge about this. So self-realization is one of the most difficult things, and it comes from goodness and spirituality. Okay, then passion is what people create in terms of material things. Like, for example, a lot of wealth, right? Money making, creating opportunities, material education, which is not spiritual, like material meaning that will allow them to make more money, will allow them to, influence other living entities, okay, to fulfill, again, their desires. So passion creates opportunities, material opportunities, okay, but also creates attachments. In passion, for example, let's say a series of movies. Like the more we watch the movie, the more we want to watch more. Okay, this is passion. Or give me another example with passion. What would that be?
Like if you're in a relationship, like maybe you get more attached.
Exactly. Yes, you get more attached. So if we go in hierarchy, right? Ignorance, it means complete deficit of self-sufficiency. Okay, no health, no wealth, no good relationships, almost nothing, complete destruction. Okay, that's why this energy is responsible for destruction. If you're seeing the person who's destroying relationship, speaking bad words, promising and not doing, okay, not looking after his health or her health, means the person is in ignorance. You can just ask a few questions. What do you eat? What do you do in your free time? Look at the clothes, look at the space, and you're going to understand what kind of energy is governing the person's life, what kind of result they're going to have. Mode of ignorance is responsible only for destruction. A lot of people make mistakes when they meet a person who acts in the mode of ignorance and expect from that person maintenance of the relationships, which is impossible in ignorance. Okay, you can know a few habits and then you will understand whether the person will be able to maintain the job, maintain the relationship, maintain the health. Okay, so just by knowing that, it's very easy to conclude and understand the nature of things. And then if this is complete deficiency, then the passion is, of course, it's higher in quality. Like here, the person is absolutely feeling lack of energy, lack of motivation, depression, a lot of different problems, right? And when you go into passion, the person is not so much preoccupied with problems. There are less problems in a passion. There are more opportunities, more desires, and more energy. Okay, but if the person gets stuck here, then he will finally go into ignorance because he will become exhausted and he will lose health and etc. Right? Therefore, passion should lead to goodness, create, stabilize, maintain, and then progress into self-realization. Okay, therefore, because spiritual energy, it maintains everything overall. Okay, so yeah, so these modes are very important to understand because you can see them in actions, you can see them in food, you can see them in interests and in results also. When we have obstacles, it means what? That what kind of energy do you think creates obstacles?
Ignorance.
Ignorance. Yeah. What kind of energy creates lack of hope?
Lack of goals.
Lack of hope, hopelessness.
Oh, ignorance.
Yeah. Okay. What kind of energy creates emotional pain?
Passion.
Ignorance and passion. Both of them. Because passion creates attachment. And then when this attachment is not fulfilled, it goes into ignorance, pain. Pain is always the energy of ignorance. Okay. What kind of, I would say, okay, let's say financial success. What kind of energy?
Passion.
There. Passion and goodness.
Okay.
Yeah, because financial success requires what? Stability. You cannot call the person successful if today he has and tomorrow he doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So he may achieve today and then go and drink it all and goodbye, my money, right? So it requires passion, working, and goodness, maintaining. Okay. So yeah, so basically it's a very strong logic here if you go deeper, and we will discuss this once we get to the chapter number 14. Okay. All right, let's continue.
Mm. All of this is clearly described, and if we properly utilize the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, then our whole life will become purified, and ultimately we'll be able to reach the destination which is beyond this material sky.
Yes, that's right. Yes. So basically, Bhagavad Gita gives us absolute knowledge, which is free from all these four imperfections. It helps us to get rid of illusions. It helps us not to commit mistakes. It shows us things as they are, and it purifies our senses. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita helps us to reach our final destination, which is the spiritual world, but also be purified and happy and successful in the material, in our material life, materially. How much time do you have today?
I think you have to do homework, right? So how much time do you have?
So 45.
She's okay, I think like 10 more minutes because she
10
has to
more
do,
minutes.
yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's do one more paragraph.
Okay.
Mhm.
That destination is called the Santana sky, the eternal spiritual sky. Yad Gatvana Niratana Tadama Paramama. In this material world, we find that everything is temporary. It comes into being, stays for some time, produces some byproducts, dwindles, and then vanishes. That is the law of the material world, whether we use as an example this body or a piece of fruit or anything. But beyond this temporary world, there is another world of which we have information. That world consists of another nature, which is Santana, eternal.
Anadana,
The
yes. Mhm.
eternal. The jiva is also described as how do you say that again?
Sanatana.
Sanatana,
Mhm.
eternal. And the Lord is also described as Sanatana in the 11th chapter. We have an intimate relationship with the Lord, and because we are all qualitatively one, the Sanatana Dhamma or sky, the Sanatana Supreme Personality, and the Sanatana living entities, the whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to revive our Sanatana occupation or Sanatana Dharma, which is the eternal occupation of the living entity.
Okay, so what is Sanatana?
Um,
Eternal, right?
eternal,
Eternal.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
Sanatana sky is eternal, sorry, Sanatana Dhamma is eternal sky. Jiva, which is the soul, eternal, right? It's
Mhm.
Sanatana. The Lord is also Sanatana, okay? And our eternal occupation is called what?
Sanatana Dharma.
Sanatana Dharma, which is eternal. Imagine eternal occupation. Let's continue.
Which is the eternal occupation of the living entity. We are temporarily engaged in different activities, but all of these activities can be purified when we give up all these temporary activities and take up the activities which are prescribed by the Supreme Lord. This is called our pure life.
Yes. So we are given different activities which are temporary, which means they're material, right? And what are these activities?
The eternal activities.
No, the temporary activities.
Oh,
What
the
are these activities?
temporary activities would be like almost anything, like in the material nature, like um I'm trying to think of examples,
Mhm.
uh, like watching a show or like things that like eventually like are not always here.
Yeah, so things that relate to probably our roles, to our age, right?
Oh,
Like small kids, they engage in playing with toys, right? Then adult, like teenagers, they're more interested in communicating and having like building relationships
yeah.
and fulfilling their goals. And then adults, they have their own things, right? All these activities, they come and go.
Yeah.
Imagine us now playing with toys. Would you like to play with a toy?
Yeah.
No, so this activity is gone because it doesn't relate to the age, right? And also we can see how boys are playing their own games and girls they're playing their own games, and then women they do their own things and men they do their own things, right? So these activities they come and go. Then what do you think is the purpose of those activities? If they're temporary and we are eternal, how can we use it in our progress, like in our spiritual progress? What is its place, in our spiritual development? You're thinking.
Um, I would say like something to engage with or like occupy our time.
Mm-hmm. So see, time is very precious, right? And Krishna is saying, I am the time. So
Yeah.
time is Krishna himself, which means that everything that is given to us makes sense. Okay. And the question is, how does it make sense? As after all of this, we are eternal
Yeah.
and it doesn't belong to us and it doesn't describe our nature, but we spend so much time and energy and money
Yeah.
to achieve it, right? Try not to give the toy to a child. Oh my God, it's such a difficult thing. Right? So, what is the purpose of it then? What do you think? All those activities?
Um, I would say like some are to help you develop like passions and help you develop like figure out like things about yourself more, like find out like what you don't like, that can help you later on in life.
How does it help us in our spiritual life? What does it
I
do to us when we engage in different activities? What does it do to us?
I feel like it could be like potentially a distraction because it
Distraction
like
from what? From spiritual life?
yeah, because it like occupies our time, or we could use it for like devotional service in a sense. If you like if you like to read, you could say like you could like read for Krishna, or like you can like use it to like
Mhm.
help connect to
But you know,
spirituality.
if you explain this to the child, like 3-year-old child, oh, you're playing for Krishna. Just say, no, I'm
Yeah,
playing for myself. I'm sorry.
yeah,
You play for Krishna. Right? So yeah, so basically it comes, from the beginning, why we're here, actually. This is what it comes from, okay? Because we wanted to enjoy it by ourselves, because we wanted to try it. How is it to enjoy without God and be God ourselves? That we manage, that we rule, that we create, and we enjoy. Because in the spiritual world, everything is created, and every living entity realizes that everything belongs to the Lord. I'm not creating anything, I'm not using anything, I'm just serving. Okay. Yeah. So here we are doing this. And it is also said that God, Krishna, he accepts only love. If we are not given this, if we initially wanted to enjoy these things, how will we know how to love if we are not given this opportunity? Because Krishna is almighty. Just with one like this, he can make us love him. He doesn't want this. It's not true love, right? What is love then?
I would say like developing like relationships like with people like your family, like
How will you know that someone loves you? Tricky question, right?
mhm. I would say like through their actions more, like not just like what they say, but if they're able to
Uh-huh.
like fulfill it, not just like with their actions like show you.
Yeah, yeah. And if the person is saying, "Oh, I'm just doing it for you," and then he's doing it for himself,
Yeah.
hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, is it love or no?
No.
No, right? Yes. So, if you're like, we are talking about us people, right? Imagine God, his
Mhm.
level of understanding love,
Mhm.
right? So basically, love is a freedom that we're choosing him all the time, no matter what. Imagine a person who loves you, and how will you know? Because he chooses you all the time,
Mhm.
no matter what. Yeah, you're the most important person. So,
Mhm.
with God, is this is the case. We are giving so many activities. We are giving so many varieties of things.
Mhm.
And after trying all of this and understanding this all ends and this, brings that again. We have to start all over again and all over again. We
Mhm.
finally come to that conclusion that I want you, Krishna. I want to go back to you. And I
Mhm.
don't want this anymore. Okay. Of course, it takes time. Yeah. But this is basically God is given all of these opportunities. And another thing why we have this temporary engagement, because we practice a lot of skills. We become more disciplined, right? When we have a lot of different activities, we become more empathetic because we see different situations. We go through the pain. We go through like so many experiences, which makes us like more self-realized. And we fulfill our responsibilities towards other people through the activities. If we don't have the roles, we don't have responsibilities. If I don't have a role of a mother, I don't have responsibility, right? If you don't have a role of a student, you don't have responsibilities. So the sense of the responsibility is doing something that will satisfy someone else, right?
Yeah.
Like when we are going to the university, we have to satisfy what meet the criteria. We have to satisfy some like higher levels, right?
Yeah.
Kids also, they have responsibilities. Parents, they have responsibilities. So it's all based on, if we go deeper, what is this? Doing it for someone, which will benefit you. It is service. Actually, this is the nature of service. So through these activities, we are rehearsing our service. Okay. And that rehearsal becomes spiritual when we understand that actually even this belongs to the Lord. Okay. When we connect it, that in the spiritual world, people like living entities, they don't do it to make any profit out of it. Because here, for example, if we are working, we want to profit. Like, give me the money, I'll satisfy your needs. I'm a good professional, but you have to pay me. Okay. Over there, it's different. I will satisfy your needs because I'm in service, because I would like to satisfy the Lord. Okay. So it's pure, much pure. Okay. But we need to practice this. We need to become the best professionals. We need to become self-realized. We need to become responsible and disciplined and kind, develop all of this, confident, right? So that we can serve the best.
Okay.
And then finally connected. Okay. Yeah. So these are the this is the purpose of the activities. And all of them, finally, they are all prescribed by the Lord. Okay, even material activities to us, they are called karma. They are all prescribed by the Lord. We have our eternal karma, which is our spiritual nature, and we have our material karma, such as roles and responsibilities. Okay, they are all prescribed to us by the Lord. So even by performing our material responsibilities, if we remember about God, right, that we're doing it for Him first of all, although we have our own desire in it, still we are purifying ourselves, because we remember that it's also assigned by Him. This job, this profession, the talent is given by Him, everything is given by Him. I'm using your resources and hopefully I'm satisfying you. Let me know what I can do, if I can do anything better. So that should be the mode. Okay. All right. So we've done for today. Let's summarize what you've learned from today's class.
Okay. For me, I would say like the eatables, like the modes of like passion, goodness, and ignorance was interesting because like I thought of it like in activities, but I didn't think about it in like what we're like eating and putting into our bodies. So that was interesting.
Yeah, and also smells actually, and the
Yeah.
smells and the cosmetic, everything, and even what we put in our space, the
Yeah.
furniture, everything, yeah,
Mhm.
can be divided. Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. Anything else?
I learned that like everything in this material world is like temporary, but like beyond that, it's like eternal.
hmm Yeah, yes, like eternal. Yes. How do you think this knowledge can help us in our daily life when we know that?
I think it might help with like our attachment. Like, as you said, in the mode of passion, you do get attached, but like you have to recognize that like everything, like I think recognizing that everything is temporary will like ease that like I don't know, like it'll help you know that like it's okay when things change or like when things are not the same anymore because it's natural and it's what's supposed to happen.
Exactly. And what is the most difficult thing to accept when it changes, in your opinion? Like maybe you have your own personal, right? Like opinion, because for different people it can be something maybe else.
Yeah. I would just say like for me it would be just like adjusting to new like new things, like things that I'm not familiar with would be like, that's like what is most challenging for me.
Yes, yes. Okay. And the most common thing is age, for example, aging, right? And with age, we lose what? The health changes, relationship change, and
Mhm.
etc. So many things change.
Yeah.
We can't do things that we used to do, right? We can't see so well, and etc. But if we know that, as you said, that I'm an eternal living entity, and the lack of sight, the lack of health does not represent actually me. It's not who I am. It's just
Mhm.
the something which is temporary.
Mhm.
Okay. And the attachment doesn't hurt so much.
Yeah.
The attachment is still there because we're using it, right? We're
Yeah.
using these bodies, we use our cars, we use our house. But again, when it gets old and it like disappears,
Yeah.
people who are spiritually advanced, they don't suffer from it.
Yeah.
They actually embrace it, and you can see that freedom in their eyes and their, mood, and it's amazing. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for your wonderful participation. It was a pleasure to have a class with you today. Do you have any questions?
Mhm.
No questions. Okay, perfect. So then I will see you in a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Wonderful. Bye bye.